So we started, we went back to try to understand more clearly, perhaps in a more refined way, this principle that even when there is a total divestion, so to speak, of personal interest, there is the sense of the interest of the master that transmits and transfers to the servant. In terms of avodah, that even though that in the shuv his interest is exclusively to do the kavana elyena. As we explained, kavana is different than rotzu. Kavana elyena, that is something which stays with the alien, which stays with the etza. There is no explanation for the kavana. This is what his intent is, and the reason we relate to it is because that is his intent, not because we understand its significance. So the question is, where does the rotzu come from this? Rotzu means I identify with something and I'm pursuing it. There's nothing to identify with. So the explaining that Mekomokoim, we're going to start from the line Mekomokoim. This is the fifth line from the sixth line from the top. Mekomokoim is Gankin Simcha ve'enek boha aveda. There is nevertheless a simcha and oinig in this avodah. In other words, there is some kind of a personal experience. He is really involved in it. How would he get this personal experience? Who, and that is sheyesh lo tainug mizeh, that he has a tainug from the fact shenas and nachas ruach l'maylo mihaveido, that the nachas ruach is affected above from his avodah. As it says, nachas ruach l'fomai. So we'll go through the moshel and we'll try to focus in on the whole principle. And this is true. This is like in the case of a moshel ba'avida sevet, in the aveda of an eved. But the eved is literally an eved. Does not have a personal feel for the union that he is doing. He's an eved. He is just subservient and obedient totally. Nonetheless, yesh tainug loho eved b'mlachta. There is tainug that the eved experiences tainug in his work. Where do we see that the eved has tainug in his work? Shemishum zehu mehader b'hamlocha. Because of this tainug, he is mahader in his work. He beautifies the work. He goes a step beyond the bare necessity. Shetiya behidur, that the malacha, that the job that he is doing, the malacha, the accomplishment should be behidur. Go a little further. Where although the hatifer is v'hatainig bozeh, that the glory and the tainug, the actual experience, the actual benefit and personal experience from this malacha, yesh rak l'ha'odin, that will be exclusively for the odin. V'lo yizocher klal shmoy al zeh, and the name of the eved will not be mentioned at all in this connection. Yet still yesh lo tainug bozeh, he has tainuk from the fact, in the fact, Masha ha'odin yisanek bozeh, that the odin was misanek bozeh. That gives him also tainuk. Umishum zeh mehader. And because of this tainuk, he is mahader, he beautifies this work.
Can you help please to understand this morsel?
Bro.
I'm sorry.
We have to try and focus in and try to get to the bottom of this. The first question is this: when the Eved is doing this work, let's say he's building a house. Building a house has many parts to it. There is the architecture work. There is the placing the house on the plot, on the area, and ultimately there is laying the bricks, brick on top of brick. The Eved is laying the bricks. The bottom working. Because in fact, the tiferes, so to speak, the glory and the beauty, actually ultimately is dependent on how well these bricks were laid. Whether they were laid perfectly evenly, and the mortar between them is perfectly evenly. This is what the tiferes is. So he is involved in laying bricks. The question that we have to ask ourselves is he aware that he's building a house, or is he aware only of the bricklaying? And this is the difference between a machine or an animal or a human being. The Eved is like an Eved, he's totally subservient. But it's a human Eved. Now, which means that when he is laying these bricks, he is building a house or a palace. He is not laying bricks. Similarly, perhaps on a lesser level where it may be more obvious, when he's a driver, he drives the master to shul, that was the aspect to vacation, whatever he drives. Compare that to the horse that's pulling the chariot. The horse is not taking the master to the shul or to vacation. He's just covering this ground. The Eved is taking him to his destination. Now, this is clear. We all realize that the Eved is actually doing a malacha. A malacha, like in Leches Shabbos, a malacha means something that's being accomplished, not just an act. He actually is involved in the accomplishment. Now the question is, he's an Eved, and he has personally no shaykhs to this type of malacha. For example, he's building a home. So we say, Adam she'ein le bayis ein le Adam. A home is much more than a house. And only an Adam can appreciate what a home is. And we discussed it many times. The Eved, he's a non-entity, doesn't have a personal identity. And therefore he personally does not have that appreciation of a home. And yet we say that he is doing a malacha. Where does he get that sense of this malacha, what he is doing? The answer is that he gets it by association to the other. And this is where the difference between, I said, between an Eved and a horse does not absorb, does not relate to the master quality, master essence. The Eved does, although it is not his own, but he's capable to absorb and to relate and to get the influence of the master. The master needs a home, and the Eved knows the master needs a home. Once he realizes that the master needs a home, this is already Ayin Sichli. Even though this Seichel is not rooted, is not founded on his own sense of a human value. It is based on the sense of human value of his master. Nevertheless, he senses it. This master needs a home. He understands that. He doesn't need a home, but the master needs a home. Not only that, the master needs a home, but he takes pride that his master needs a home. He himself is elevated. This is what we're always saying, that the Melech elevates the entire nation to his standard, to his level. The fact that we have a Melech, that elevates the entire nation. Even though the Malchus element itself remains with the Melech, but by being in his command, that transfers and it imbued in the entire nation. That's what a Melech is. He bestows, so to speak, his quality upon the entire nation. He relates to it. The Odin, the Eved is building a home for the Odin. The Eved is taking the Odin to shul. Makes no difference what. The Eved appreciates, he senses that this Odin, yes, indeed, he deserves that he should be taken to shul. He shouldn't have to walk. Or he should have a home. Because the Odin has that status. This recognition is an extremely sensitive, very subtle Indian that we said only a human being appreciates what a home is. And he essentially is not a human being. He's not a Mitzvah unto himself. But by association to the true human being, to the Odin, he lives with that human quality. This is an element. This human quality is not possible to recognize except if you are relating to the essence of what a human being is. Like we said many times, a home. Odom shein Beis einli Odom. It's not that he is missing conveniences. Conveniences is not what a home is. As a matter of fact, the Eved also needs conveniences. The Eved needs a place to sleep, needs a place to eat, he needs food also. That he also needs. And lahavdil, the horse also needs it. So the Indian that he very appreciates, that he recognizes in the Odin is something completely in a different category. And he appreciates that category, which is the union of oimek, a human oimek, a human quality. There's no logic to it. There's no way to explain logically, Odom Shina Beis in Yodom. This is exclusively a human perception.
The Eved doesn't have that inherently. He gets that from
Eved
God.
doesn't have it inherently. Eved is not an Odom. He's not a human being. In the full sense of the word. He has human qualities in terms of capability. He can walk, he can talk. But a sense of human status, he doesn't have. Like we said, just one second. What is the suffering, what is the pain of being imprisoned? He can eat and he can sleep. As we said, in modern day prisons, he can even play tennis. And yet, he's suffering, a very deep suffering. What's the suffering about? He cannot relate to his humanity. So we don't have to go into it now enough to be merames because we discussed it many times. David doesn't have that humanity element. And he gets it by association. He gets the sense of it by association to his master. To get the sense of it, you have to experience Oynek, because the only way to recognize, to relate to it is through Oynek. What is, because that's what humanity means. This is the Oynek element in being a human being. This is not a practical meaning. Go ahead.
I didn't understand how we talked. He has to relate to the essence of the essential quality of a human being.
Yeah.
For him to get a sense that the master needs a house. How do we get to Oneg?
Okay, that's what I'm trying to explain. What is the principle of being a human being? Where is that rooted? What is that about? How does a human being get it? It's the Oynek, the human Oynek. There's a nefesh order. The way this transmits is, there's the nefesh, then there's the Oynek and Rotzen, and then from that it gets translated in Seichel.
You're saying, how does a person get this idea that he's an essential presence?
Yeah.
It's not enough just to say that he has a nefesh? Because that doesn't translate into his own world?
He has a nefesh does not give him the experience of what nefesh is. The experience of nefesh comes to him through Oynek and Rotzen. In order that the seichel should be a substantial seichel, in other words, he really understands, he has to have access, sense the Oynek and Rotzen in being a human being. Without that, just to say, theoretically, this is what it is, it means nothing at all.
So the Eved has a sense of the Oneg?
Mm-hmm.
And he gets that Oneg through association. He sort of senses the master's Oneg?
That's right. This is what we say. He's like in Adam Mitzias. But as you said, he is building a home. He's not putting bricks together. That's what a human being is different than an animal. Because his koiches are still are much more sensitive than that of the animal have. So when he is told, build a home, he knows, he can relate to it. Why? I don't need a home. The master needs a home. I understand that the master needs a home.
Where does he get that? In other words, where in his nefesh does the Eved have the ability to kind of reach into the master and sense the master's Oneg?
just as within himself, it is his seichel that identifies the Oinig. In his association with the master, it is his seichel that identifies the Oinig of the master. In other words, he recognizes, yes, this master really should have a home. Because in his seichel, he appreciates what the master is. And he relates to the oineg of the master. And if the master is going to have an oineg, he automatically has oineg from that. This is really a phenomenal inyan. This is what Eved Melech Melech. Eved Melech Melech. He's an Eved. But he has a Malchusiki experience due to his being associated with the Melech. This is what the Gemara says, right? We say, when you saw beforech, what's beforech? What's beforech? Beforech means that they didn't allow their slaves to benefit from this association. Dig a ditch. A ditch, there's a malacha. Malacha means he has to accomplish something. What is you're going to put a tree, you're going to plant a tree in this ditch. Who is going to benefit from the tree? The mitzri that I hate. But still, something's going to be accomplished. And therefore, there is a personal oineg in this malach. When the mitzri comes back and says, "Throw the earth back," then he's destroying him. Even though, what benefit would he have if the tree is planted? It's not for him. A human being benefits from oinek, from human quality, just by knowing that such thing exists, already elevates him. Because he can relate to that truth. This is what the Rebbe is explaining in the mashal of the Eved, who is building his home. He goes out of his way to be mahadeh, to beautify it. So we have two questions over here. How does he know to appreciate beauty? If he's a bricklayer. And if he does appreciate, what makes him to put in to reveal that beauty in his work? What interest does he have?
I think I'm still stuck on it takes a human being to relate to a human being. So I'm still like, well, the answer here, the simple answer is, well, this Eved is a human neshama, so he relates to his work and what the tasks are, driving the master, building the house.
Right.
But we had this other starting point of where the Eved is not really a full-fledged human being.
That's right. On his own. Okay, very, very, very good. Now we can really hit the yin on his head, on the point. There is the evolutionary theory, and there is the Torah principle, truth. The evolutionary theory does not deny that the human being has intellect, and he is smart. On the contrary, look what he is doing. He's constantly developing. He's constantly evolving. And everything that he is inventing, everything that he comes to realize, is all on the seichel level, on the superficial level. This will give him more security. This will give him more security. The whole stupidity of this. Beis born like the Shema was Vayibach be'ap of Nishmas Chaim. It says, puts in one little matching, one little change. That no, it doesn't operate on this surface level. It is not, and that's additional security. There is a neshama element, where the neshama is to start with this ultimate truth. And then there is ways to translate and to reveal this ultimate truth in the physical world. Such as eat with a spoon instead of with your mouth. Sit by a table. Walk on two instead on four. This is all part of the essential truth of the neshama. And this is why we say, they say that everything is primarily, that what is the impetus for all the movement is existence, personal security. We say it's also the same thing, it would seem, called dover eitzer b'kiyumei. But the meets b'kiyumei, the diuk in this, not called dover eitzer lihiskayim. B'kiyumei. Lihiskayim means just to exist. That's the stupidest thing. What does existence come from? B'kiyumei means to be what the Rebbeinu made him. Because in what the Rebbeinu made him, there is that essential spiritual significance, godly significance. So he is relating to that truth, to the godly significance. So this is normally a free person, a ben chayrin, who relates directly to God. So it's a b'kiyumai, he relates to what he is. An eved who is not free, an eved who is subservient to another human being. He cannot directly relate to what he is. But he still has a seichel. But he relates to what a human being is by association to his master. I am Taki an eved, but his master was created by God.
The servant, the eved is not free, so he cannot relate directly to his own
reality. That's what we say. What a person in prison is.
I thought that was the cause of his suffering. That was the pain. That he does want to. He does inwardly relate.
That's
to
right. When a person's in prison, that's a free person in prison. But an eved.
So to the eved, no, he fell into debt, let's say, or he got taken captive. So now he
That depends.
Free.
That depends. That's what we're saying. Eved Ivri is never really an eved. But that's why the real avodim is an eved Knani. They actually have that capacity to be a full-fledged eved. Where he doesn't have a personal identity whatsoever. Yeah.
So this union that he has Ayin in that the master has Ayin. It's not in that the master has Ayin. It's if the master has Ayin, it means the union is a real union.
How does he know that it's a real union?
Right. But just this is
No. I want to kind of make a little change in your calculation. When you say it's a real union, that's independent of the master. From the master, he gets the point that it's a real union.
right.
There's no way he can have that.
But by the mitzvah, he hates his master.
That's right. But still, it is by association to his master that he recognizes that there is a reality. And the reality is represented by the master. It does not become something of his independently. Because he doesn't have a sense of an independent presence, of a human presence. He gets it from Master Taki, but not he gets it and then takes it away. By association, he has it, just like in our Moshe with the host and the guest. He got already this. No, he cannot have it unless the host is there. But as such, with the association, he has an experience of Oinik. And since he has experience of Oinik, that can translate in the Rotz. This is it for this morning. Have a good day.
Springer doesn't come? He came yesterday?
He comes every day.
Yeah.
I think he must sneak in somehow to the other, because all of a sudden he appears. He comes at the...
la